She grabbed the wrong suitcase at the airport, unaware it belongs to the Mafia boss. His hand slammed against the wall beside my head, caging me in. The gun under his jacket pressed against my ribs as he leaned closer, close enough that I could smell cedar and smoke and something darker. Danger. You open my suitcase. His voice was winter itself, cold and merciless, with an accent that turned every word into a threat. You read the ledger. You saw names, numbers, things that could get you killed. My heart hammered so hard I was sure he could hear it. It was an accident. I grabbed the wrong bag at the airport. I didn't know. His free hand caught my chin, forcing me to meet eyes the color of frozen steel. Or, didn't care. Tell me, Sloane, are you working for my enemies? Is this how they sent you to me? I don't even know who you are. The lie felt paper thin. Liar. His thumb traced my lower lip, and God help me, my breath hitched. He noticed. Of course he noticed. A smile that had nothing to do with kindness curved his mouth. Your mouth says you're afraid, but your pulse. His other hand moved to my throat, fingers resting against the frantic beat. Your pulse says something else entirely. You're a monster, I whispered. Yes. He leaned in until his lips nearly brushed my ear. But I'm your monster now, Solnishko. And I don't let go of what's mine. That's when I knew. Grabbing the wrong suitcase at the airport wasn't just a mistake.
It was the beginning of the end.
Or maybe it was the beginning of everything. Have you ever made one choice, one tiny mistake, that changed your entire life? One wrong turn that led you straight into the arms of a man you should run from, but can't? This is the story of how I, Sloane Hartley, accidentally stole from the most dangerous man on the East Coast. How he decided I was worth more alive than dead. How he decided I belonged to him. And how I stopped fighting the only man who truly saw me, even though loving him might destroy us both. Stay until the very end to find out if love can survive when it's built on blood, lies, and a suitcase full of deadly secrets. If you love dark, obsessive, all-consuming romance where the monster gets the girl and she chooses him anyway, you're in the right place. Hit that subscribe button and join me, Rosalie, in a world of dangerous love stories. And comment below where you're watching from today. I want to know where my dark romance lovers are. Now, let me take you back to where this all started. 3 a.m. at an airport. A moment of exhaustion. And the worst mistake I ever made. The red-eye from Prague landed 45 minutes late, which meant I had exactly 38 minutes to catch my connecting flight to Savannah. I ran through Atlanta's airport like my life depended on it, my camera bag bouncing against my hip, my lungs burning. 3 weeks photographing abandoned castles across Eastern Europe had left me exhausted, broke, and desperately craving my own bed. The airport at 3 a.m. is a strange place. Fluorescent lights that make everyone look half dead. The smell of stale coffee and industrial cleaner. That hollow echo of footsteps in mostly empty corridors. I remember thinking how liminal it all felt. How in between. Like I was suspended between one life and another. I had no idea how true that was. Baggage claim was nearly deserted. Just me, a businesswoman in a wrinkled suit, and a family with sleeping children slumped in a luggage cart. The carousel stuttered to life with a mechanical groan, spitting out suitcases in irregular intervals. When I saw the charcoal gray hardshell suitcase, I didn't hesitate. It looked exactly like mine. Same brand, same color, same size. I grabbed it, extended the handle, and was already halfway to the exit when my phone buzzed with a gate change. I didn't check the luggage tag. Didn't notice the weight was different. Didn't see the tiny scratch pattern on the handle was wrong. I was too tired, too rushed, too focused on not missing my flight. That one moment of inattention. That's all it took. By the time I collapsed into my window seat on the puddle jumper to Savannah, I'd already forgotten about the luggage entirely. It was just another anonymous gray suitcase in an overhead bin. Just another detail in a long day of travel. I closed my eyes as the plane took off, watching the lights of Atlanta disappear below. I was thinking about my apartment, my cat, to lose. The photography clients I needed to follow up with. The normal, safe, predictable life waiting for me. I should have known better. Nothing that easy ever lasts. While I slept at 30,000 feet, a man stood in the Atlanta airport baggage claim, his entire world unraveling. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Let me tell you about Victor Constantine. Victor Constantine did not make mistakes. In 15 years of running the most efficient and feared operation on the East Coast, he had never once lost control of a situation. His world operated on precision,
On certainty.
on the understanding that chaos was something that happened to other, weaker men. Until that night. What do you mean, gone?
His voice was quiet.
Deadly quiet. The kind of quiet that made grown men pray. The two men before him, Alexei and Dmitri, his most trusted lieutenants, looked like they wanted to melt into the airport floor. Alexei's accent thickened with stress. Someone took wrong suitcase, boss. Woman. Security footage shows she grabbed it and left. Maybe 15 minutes ago. Victor's fingers tightened around his phone. Inside that suitcase was a ledger. Not digital. He'd learned long ago that anything digital could be hacked, traced, turned into evidence. This was old school.
Paper. Ink. Names. Dates.
Transactions. Bank accounts. Shell corporations. Evidence that could dismantle his entire organization and put him away for 3 lifetimes. Evidence that, in the wrong hands, could start a war between the families. Could get dozens of people killed. Could destroy everything he'd built from nothing. Find her. The words came out like a blade.
Clean. Sharp.
Final.
Now.
Already on it, boss. Dmitri held up a tablet showing airport security footage. A woman moving through the terminal. Dark hair in a messy braid. Maybe early 30s. Wearing jeans and a vintage leather camera bag that looked like it had seen better days. She moved with an unself-conscious grace, completely unaware she'd just walked off with the most dangerous object in Georgia. Victor leaned closer, studying her face even though the footage was grainy. She was beautiful in an understated way. Sharp cheekbones. Full mouth. Eyes that even in black and white security footage seemed to hold depth. Intelligence. Something real in a world of carefully constructed facades. Something about her made him pause. Made him look when he should be planning, strategizing, eliminating the threat. Who is she? His voice was controlled, but something shifted in his chest. Something he didn't recognize. Alexei read from his phone. Sloane Hartley. Photographer. Freelance. Mostly architectural work. Lives in Savannah. Converted warehouse in Arts District. Just returned from 3 weeks in Prague. No criminal record. No connections to any family we know. No ties to any organization.
He paused.
No family at all, boss. Parents died in car accident when she was 16. No siblings. No close relatives. No family. The detail lodged in Victor's mind like a splinter. He knew what it was to be alone in the world. To have nothing and no one. To build yourself from blood and will and absolute refusal to ever be powerless again. She has my property. He straightened his cuffs, his mind already calculating distances, timelines, contingencies. I'll handle this personally. Dmitri blinked. Boss, we can bring her in. Ask questions. Find out if she's working for her. No. Victor's voice was absolute. No one touches her. No one even looks at her until I know what we're dealing with. He took the tablet, studying her face again. Until I know if she's opened it. Until I know if she's innocent, or if this is the most elaborate setup I've ever seen. What he didn't say, what he couldn't say even to himself, was that he needed to see her in person. Needed to look into her eyes and understand why her image on a screen made something in his carefully controlled world shift. Get me her address, he said. And have the car ready. I'll pay Ms. Hartley a visit. What if she's already opened it? Alexei asked carefully. If she's seen the contents. Victor's smile was terrible. Then she's seen things that will get her killed. And she'll need my protection whether she wants it or not. An hour later, I woke up in Savannah to my cat aggressively kneading my stomach and the unmistakable feeling that something was wrong. It was that instinct you get sometimes. That prickling awareness that your life just shifted and you didn't notice. I dragged myself out of bed, fed Toulouse, and made coffee. 3 cups. I had emails to answer, calls to return, editing to finish. My life as a freelance photographer meant I was always behind, always hustling, always one missed deadline from financial disaster. But first, I should probably unpack. I'd been home 12 hours and was already living out of my suitcase like I always did after trips. Lisa, my best friend, said it was because I was afraid of permanence. I said it was because I was lazy. We were probably both right. I dragged the charcoal gray suitcase to my bedroom, set it on the bed, and unzipped it. Then I froze. Oh no. No, no, no. This was not my suitcase. My clothes, my equipment, my external hard drives with 3 weeks of work, everything was God knows where. And this suitcase, this expensive, pristine suitcase, contained things that definitely did not belong to me. 3 black shirts folded with military precision. The fabric felt like silk under my fingers, probably worth more than my rent. A leather toiletry bag with products I couldn't pronounce. A laptop I didn't dare open. And wrapped in what looked like another black shirt, a leather-bound ledger. My hands trembled as I opened it. The writing inside was small, precise, in multiple languages. I recognized Russian, German, what might be Romanian, and scattered throughout, numbers. Huge numbers. Names I half recognized from news reports.
Dates.
Locations. Bank account numbers that had so many zeros they didn't look real. My photographic memory, usually an asset, captured details I immediately wished I could unsee. A name I recognized from a news story about organized crime. A date that matched a warehouse fire that killed 3 people. Numbers that suggested money laundering on a massive scale. This was bad. This was very, very bad. I slammed the ledger shut, my heart hammering against my ribs. This belonged to someone dangerous. Someone who would want it back. Someone who would come looking for it. Someone who... My apartment buzzer rang. The sound cut through my panic like a knife. I lived in a converted warehouse in Savannah's Arts District. People didn't just drop by. The building had security. No one got buzzed up without residents letting them in. The buzzer rang again. Long, insistent. Not the apologetic buzz of a delivery person or the friendly double tap of someone I knew. This was a demand. With shaking hands, I pressed the intercom button. Yes, Ms. Hartley. The voice that came through was deep, accented, Russian maybe, and absolutely devoid of warmth. I believe you have something that belongs to me. We need to talk. Every instinct in my body screamed at me to lie, to call the police, to run. But if this man knew where I lived, knew my name, had gotten past building security, then lying would only make things worse. My mouth was dry as I answered. 3rd floor. I had 90 seconds before he reached my door. I used them to throw on jeans instead of pajama pants, hide the ledger under my mattress, which was stupid and obvious, but my brain wasn't working properly, and try to steady my breathing. I stood in the middle of my living room surrounded by my photographs of beautiful abandoned places and waited for the knock. When it came, it was polite.
Controlled.
Somehow that was worse than pounding would have been. I opened the door, and the man on the other side stole the air from my lungs. He was tall. 6'3", maybe 6'4". Built like violence, like someone who knew exactly how much force it took to break bone, and had done it more than once. Dark hair cut short. A face that belonged on classical sculptures, all sharp angles and brutal beauty. But it was his eyes that pinned me in place.
Gray.
The color of winter in Moscow, of frozen rivers, of cold that goes so deep it burns. He wore an immaculate black suit that probably cost more than my car. A white shirt.
No tie.
The top button undone in a way that should have looked casual, but instead looked calculated. Like everything about him was a choice, a strategy, a weapon. But it was his presence that truly terrified me. An authority that needed no announcement, no explanation. This was a man accustomed to absolute obedience. A man who commanded rooms full of dangerous people and never had to raise his voice. Ms. Hartley. He didn't ask to come in. Simply stepped forward with the confidence of someone who owned every space he entered. I stepped back automatically, my body understanding before my brain caught up that resistance was futile. 2 men followed him. Bodyguards, unmistakably. They took positions by my door, blocking my exit. Not that I could have run. My legs felt like water. I'm Victor Constantine. He moved through my apartment like he was cataloging it, taking inventory. Those winter eyes touched everything. My mismatched furniture, my plants on every windowsill, my walls covered with framed photographs. And you have my suitcase. His voice did something to the air in the room, made it thinner, harder to breathe. It was an accident. My voice came out steadier than I felt, and I was proud of that. I grabbed the wrong one at the airport. They looked exactly the same. I'm aware. He turned to face me fully, and the weight of his complete attention was physical. Like standing too close to fire. Have you opened it? Lying to this man seemed like a spectacularly bad idea. Yes. Something flickered in his expression. Not anger, which I'd expected. Something worse. Calculation. Assessment. Like he was running scenarios in his head, weighing my value alive versus dead. Did you read the contents? Each word was precise, controlled. I looked at it. My throat was tight. I didn't understand most of it. Most of it. He took a step closer. I fought the urge to back away. But some of it you understood. I was a terrible liar. Always had been. My face gave everything away. Some. Victor studied me for a long moment that felt like hours. Then, unexpectedly, the corner of his mouth lifted. Not quite a smile. Something more dangerous than amusement. You're honest, he said softly. That's either very brave or very foolish. He glanced at his men. Wait outside. One of them, the older one with a scar through his eyebrow, started to protest. Boss. Outside. The word was quiet, but it cracked like a whip. The door closed behind them, and suddenly the apartment felt infinitely smaller. Victor Constantine removed his suit jacket with deliberate care, revealing a shoulder holster and the gun it held. He draped the jacket over my reading chair like this was his home, not mine. We have a problem, Sloane. The use of my first name felt intimate, invasive. You've seen information that could get you killed. That will get you killed if certain people find out. My blood turned to ice. I won't tell anyone. I'll forget everything I saw. You can have the suitcase back, and we never. You have an eidetic memory. He said it like a fact, not a guess. I stared at him. How did you? I had you researched on the drive here. He moved closer, backing me toward the windows. I know your parents died when you were 16. Car accident on I-95. I know you put yourself through art school working 3 jobs. I know you've been published in Architectural Digest and National Geographic. I know you take your coffee black, you're allergic to shellfish, and you haven't dated anyone seriously in 3 years. Each detail felt like a violation. Like he'd reached inside my life and pulled out pieces without permission.
He was close now.
Too close. I know you're alone in the world, Sloane. No siblings. No family. No one to miss you if you disappeared. It should have sounded like a threat. It was a threat. But the way he said alone, with something like recognition in his voice, made it sound like he understood.
Like he knew exactly what that felt like.
Are you going to kill me? I lifted my chin, refusing to cower, even though my heart was trying to beat out of my chest. Victor's eyes darkened, his gaze dropping to my mouth before meeting my eyes again.
No.
Then what do you want? You're going to stay with me. He said it like the matter was settled. Like my opinion was irrelevant. Until I resolve the situation that ledger represents. There's a leak in my organization. Someone who wants that information. Someone who will come looking for it. And when they do, they'll find you. So, I'm a prisoner. You're under my protection. He reached out, and I flinched, but he only tucked a strand of hair behind my ear. His fingers were warm, calloused. They lingered a moment too long against my skin. There's a difference. I don't see one. His smile was slow, predatory, beautiful and terrible. You will. I wanted to argue, to fight, to tell him he couldn't just decide my life for me. But the truth was staring me in the face. Someone wanted that ledger. Someone dangerous enough that even this terrifying man was worried. And I'd seen enough, remembered enough, to be a target. What if I refuse? I asked, even though we both knew I wouldn't. Victor stepped closer, eliminating the last bit of space between us. His hand came up to cup my face, thumb tracing my cheekbone. You won't. You're very sure of yourself. I'm sure of what's necessary to keep you alive. His voice dropped, intimate and dark. Pack a bag, Sloane. Enough for a week. Maybe longer. And if I scream, call the police? Fight you? Then I'll carry you out of here over my shoulder. His thumb brushed my lower lip, and heat shot through me despite everything. Despite the fear, the anger, the absolute insanity of this situation. The neighbors will think we're lovers having a dramatic moment. The police won't come because I own half of them. And fighting me. His eyes locked on mine, seeing too much. Fighting me will only make this harder for you. My breath was coming too fast. You can't just kidnap people. I can do whatever is necessary to protect what's mine. His other hand settled at my waist, possessive and warm through my thin shirt. And right now, whether you like it or not, that includes you. I'm not yours. Aren't you? His voice was soft, dangerous. You're standing in front of me, breathing hard, your pupils dilated. Your pulse. His thumb moved to my throat, pressing lightly against the frantic beat. Your pulse is racing. Tell me, Solnishko, is that fear? Or something else? The Russian word sounded like an endearment, and I hated that part of me wanted to know what it meant. Don't touch me, I said, but it came out breathless instead of firm. Victor's smile widened. Your mouth says no. But this. He pressed against my racing pulse. This says something else entirely. I shoved at his chest. It was like pushing marble. Solid. Immovable. You're a criminal. Yes. The easy admission shocked me. A killer. When necessary. A monster. His face was so close I could feel his breath against my lips. Absolutely. He leaned in until his mouth nearly touched my ear. But I'm your monster now, Solnishko. The only thing standing between you and worse ones. And I don't let go of what's mine. Then he stepped back, releasing me so suddenly I almost stumbled. The cold air where his body heat had been felt like loss, and I hated myself for noticing. Pack your bag, he said, his voice all business now. Or I'll have Dmitri pack it for you. Your choice. I looked at him. Really looked at him. At the gun under his arm. At the expensive suit and cold eyes. At the absolute certainty in his posture that he would do exactly what he said. And I looked at my small, safe apartment. My photographs. My simple life. The life I'd built so carefully after losing everything at 16. How long? My voice sounded small. Until I find the leak and eliminate the threat. His expression softened slightly. Barely perceptibly. Days. Maybe weeks. Cooperate, and I'll make sure you can return to your life. Fight me, and I'll make sure you can't. I wanted to fight. Every independent bone in my body demanded I tell him to go to hell. But I wasn't stupid. This man had found me in hours. Had researched my entire life. Had walked past building security like it didn't exist. If I ran, he'd find me. If I fought, he'd win. And if I refused to go with him, someone worse might come looking for that ledger. 20 minutes, I said. I need 20 minutes to pack. You have 15. But his eyes held something like approval. Don't make me come looking for you, Sloane. I will find you. I always find what's mine. If you're hooked on this dangerous love story, drop a like right now. And comment below, are you team run or team stay? What would you do in Sloane's position? Let me know where you're watching from. I want to hear from every corner of the world. I packed in a daze. Clothes, toiletries, my camera, because I'd rather die than leave it behind. my laptop, the essentials. The whole time, I could hear Victor in my living room, speaking quietly in Russian on his phone. The language sounded beautiful and harsh at the same time. Like him. Toulouse wound around my ankles, sensing something was wrong. I picked him up, buried my face in his fur. Lisa will take care of you, I whispered. I'll call her. I'll be back soon. I hoped that was true. When I emerged with my bag, Victor was standing by my window, looking out at the city. Without the jacket, just the white shirt and shoulder holster, he looked almost human. Almost. He turned when he heard me. His eyes swept over my bag, then my face. Ready? Do I have a choice?
No.
But I appreciate you making this easy. He took the bag from me, without asking. One of my men will stay here. He'll tell anyone who asks that you've gone out of town for work. Your friend Lisa. Your clients. Anyone. How do you know about Lisa? I know everything about you, Sloane. He said it matter-of-factly. It's how I stay alive. The car waiting downstairs was exactly what I expected. Black, expensive, windows tinted so dark they were probably illegal. Dimitri held the door open. Victor gestured for me to get in first. As the city rolled past the windows, Victor made a phone call. She's with me, he said in English, presumably for my benefit. No, she cooperated. Yes, I'm sure. A pause. Have Katia prepare the guest room. And make sure security knows she's under my protection. No one touches her. No one even looks at her wrong. He hung up and turned to me. You'll stay at my estate outside the city. It's secure. Guarded. No one can get to you there. Sounds like a prison. His lips curved slightly. A very comfortable prison. I have work. Clients. A life. Which I'll ensure you can return to. He shifted in his seat to face me more fully. I'm not a monster, Sloane. Well, I am. But I don't harm innocents. You're caught in something that isn't your fault. I'll keep you safe until it's resolved. And then what? You just let me go? Something flickered in his eyes. Then you're free. I didn't believe him. And I don't think he believed himself either. The estate was 20 minutes outside Savannah, hidden behind high walls and gates that required multiple security checks to pass. The house itself was beautiful. Antebellum architecture updated with modern glass and clean lines. Elegant and intimidating at the same time. Just like him. Inside, the foyer alone was bigger than my entire apartment. Marble floors. A staircase that curved upward like something from a movie. Art on the walls that was probably worth more than I'd make in my lifetime. Guest room is upstairs, second door on the left, Victor said, setting my bag down. My room is at the end of the hall. You'll stay on the property. You'll go nowhere without Alexei or Dimitri. You'll speak to no one about why you're here. Each rule landed like a cage closing. For how long? Until I say otherwise. He shrugged off his shoulder holster with practiced ease, setting it on a side table, like people do with car keys. Casual. Normal. Cooperate, and this will be painless. Fight me, and it will be significantly less pleasant. Something in me snapped. Maybe it was the fear I'd been swallowing. Maybe it was the exhaustion. Maybe it was the way he kept saying I was his, like I was property instead of a person. You can't just kidnap people and expect them to be grateful, I said, my voice rising. You can't just decide you own me because I made a mistake. You can't just. I didn't see him move. One moment he was across the foyer. The next, he had me backed against the wall, one hand beside my head, his body caging me in. I can do whatever is necessary to protect what's mine. His voice was soft, deadly. And right now, whether you like it or not, that includes you. You saw that ledger, Sloane. You saw names. You saw evidence of things that could start a war. That makes you a target. That makes you mine to protect. I'm not yours. But my voice shook. His free hand caught my chin, forcing me to meet his eyes. You are. You became mine the moment you opened that suitcase. The moment I walked into your apartment and decided not to kill you. His thumb traced my jawline, achingly gentle for someone saying such horrible things. You're in my home. Under my guard. breathing because I allow it. That makes you mine, Solnishko. And I protect what's mine. What does that mean? Solnishko. His smile was almost tender. Little son. His hand moved to cup my face. Because you walked into my dark world and brought light. The poetry of it stunned me silent. This man, this criminal, this monster calling me little son. I hate you, I whispered, but it sounded like a lie even to me. No, you don't. His thumb brushed my lower lip. You hate that you don't hate me. You hate that when I touch you, your breath catches. You hate that part of you feels safer with me than without me. He leaned in close, his lips nearly touching mine. And you really hate that you want me to kiss you right now. I don't. Liar. Then he stepped back, releasing me. The loss of his heat felt like punishment. Dinner is at 7, he said, his voice normal now, controlled. Don't be late. He walked away, leaving me gasping against the wall. My heart racing, my skin burning where he touched me. And the worst part? He was right. I did want him to kiss me. God help me. I wanted the monster. I'm going to pause here for a moment. If this story has you completely hooked, if you need to know what happens next, do me a favor. Comment. I'm with you, Rosalie, right now. Show me you're just as addicted to this as I am. And tell me, where in the world are you watching from? New York? London? Sydney? I want to know where my dark romance family is. Now, back to Sloane and her dangerous new reality. I didn't go down for dinner. It was a small rebellion, probably a stupid one, but I needed to feel like I had some control. Some choice. Even if it was just the choice to skip a meal. I stayed in the guest room, which was, insultingly, gorgeous. King-size bed with sheets that probably cost more than my couch. An en-suite bathroom with a tub big enough to swim in. French doors leading to a balcony overlooking gardens that looked like something from a magazine. A beautiful cage was still a cage. At 7:30, there was a knock on the door. I considered ignoring it, but then the door opened anyway, and Victor walked in carrying a tray. He'd changed. No longer in the suit, but dark jeans and a white shirt with the sleeves rolled to his elbows. It should have made him look less dangerous. It didn't. If anything, the casual clothing made him more intimidating. More real. I'm not hungry, I said from where I sat on the window seat, knees pulled to my chest. Yes, you are. He set the tray on the desk. You haven't eaten since the plane. It's been almost 12 hours. The fact that he'd tracked that made me angry, and something else I didn't want to examine. I said, I'm not hungry. Victor turned to look at me, and something in his expression made my stomach flip.
Eat, Sloane.
Or I'll feed you myself. You can't make me. He crossed the room in 3 strides, and suddenly his hand was in my hair, gentle but absolutely firm, tilting my head back. Our faces were inches apart. His eyes had gone nearly black. Do you really want to test what I can and cannot make you do? His voice was dark velvet, intimate and threatening at once. My heart hammered. Why do you even care if I eat? The question seemed to catch him off guard. His grip loosened, became almost tender. Because you're under my protection. That means something. In my world, there are rules. I don't harm innocents. I don't break my word. And I protect what's mine. I'm not. Yes, you are. His thumb stroked my cheek. The moment you opened that suitcase, you became mine. The moment I decided not to kill you, it was sealed. You're mine now, Sloane. Mine to protect. Mine to keep safe. Mine. The possessiveness should have terrified me. Instead, heat pooled low in my stomach. You're insane, I whispered. Probably. He released me but didn't move away.
Eat.
Don't make me ask again. He left, and I hated that I immediately went to the tray. Hated even more that the food was incredible. Some kind of Russian dish, rich and complex, served with bread that was still warm. He'd brought me dinner himself. Had noticed I hadn't eaten. Had cared enough to make sure I did. What kind of monster did that? 3 days passed in strange suspension. I learned the rhythms of Victor's world. He worked from an office downstairs, his days filled with phone calls in multiple languages, meetings with dangerous-looking men who all treated him with a deference that bordered on fear. I caught glimpses of his empire, the quiet orchestration of something vast and dark and powerful. But every evening he found me, sometimes in the library, where he'd discover me with a book and simply sit across from me, working on his laptop in comfortable silence. Sometimes in the garden, where he'd walk beside me without speaking, just present. Sometimes on the terrace, where I'd gone to photograph the sunset, and he'd watch me work with an intensity that made my hands shake. He never pushed, never demanded, just existed in my space until it started to feel natural having him there. On the third night, I found him in the library, a fire crackling in the fireplace even though it wasn't cold. He looked up when I entered, something like pleasure crossing his face. "Can't sleep?" he asked. "Too quiet. I'm used to city noise." I hesitated in the doorway. "I can go. Stay." It wasn't a command.
It was a request.
"Please." That please did something to me. I sat on the opposite end of the leather couch, tucking my feet under me. He went back to whatever he was reading, some document in Russian. The silence stretched, but it wasn't uncomfortable. "Tell me about Moscow," I said eventually. "You grew up there?" Victor looked up, surprised by the question. "Why do you want to know?" "Because you know everything about me. Seems only fair I know something about you." He considered this, then set down his papers. "I was born in Moscow. Grew up in poverty most Americans can't imagine. My father was a drunk who disappeared when I was 8. My mother worked 3 jobs and still couldn't keep food on the table." His voice was matter-of-fact, but I heard the pain underneath. "I came to America when I was 15. My mother had died the year before. I had nothing. No money, no English, no prospects. Just rage and determination to never be powerless again." "How did you build all this?" I gestured at the elegant room, the wealth surrounding us. His smile was sharp. "You don't want to know the answer to that." "Maybe I do." "I did what was necessary. I worked for men who made me look like a saint. I learned. I planned. I took what I wanted. And I built something that couldn't be taken from me." He leaned forward, elbows on his knees. "I'm not a good man, Sloane. I've done terrible things. Things that would make you run screaming if you knew the details. You're trying to scare me. I'm trying to be honest with you." His eyes locked on mine. "Because I think you deserve that much." The admission hung between us. This ruthless man, this criminal, offering me honesty like a gift. "Why flowers?" he asked suddenly. "Why photography?" The shift caught me off guard. "What? You could do anything. You're talented, intelligent. Why spend your life photographing buildings?" No one had ever asked me that. Not even Lisa. I pulled my knees to my chest, thinking, because abandoned places are honest. They don't pretend to be something they're not. A ruined castle is just ruins. It doesn't hide what it's become. There's beauty in that. In things that are broken but still standing. Victor's gaze intensified. "You see beauty in broken things, don't you?" "I'm starting to." The way he looked at me when he said it made my breath catch. The moment stretched, charged with something neither of us was ready to name. "You should go to bed," Victor said finally, his voice rougher than usual. "It's late." I should have left. Should have run from whatever was building between us. Instead, I asked the question that had been haunting me for 3 days. "Why didn't you kill me? When you realized I'd seen the ledger, why let me live?" Victor was silent for so long I thought he wouldn't answer. Then he stood, crossed to where I sat, and crouched in front of me, so we were eye level. "I don't know," he said quietly. "I've killed for less. Much less. But I walked into your apartment and saw you standing there, defiant and terrified and honest, and I couldn't." His hand came up to cup my face. "Something in me recognized something in you. And I knew even then that you were going to change everything." "Victor, I didn't know what I was asking for." "You scare me," he confessed. "More than any rival, any threat, any danger I've ever faced. Because when I look at you, I feel something I thought I'd killed. Something human." "What do you feel?" Instead of answering, he closed the distance between us and kissed me. The kiss was nothing like I expected from this hard, violent man. It was gentle, questioning. His lips soft against mine, his hand cradling my face like I was something precious. Something worth protecting. I should have pulled away. Should have remembered he was a criminal, a kidnapper, a monster. Instead, I kissed him back. The kiss deepened. What started gentle became urgent, consuming. Victor's other hand slid into my hair, tilting my head to take more, and I let him. God help me, I let him. My fingers clutched his shirt, pulling him closer instead of pushing him away like sanity demanded. When we finally broke apart, both breathing hard, Victor rested his forehead against mine. His eyes were closed, his jaw tight like he was fighting some internal battle. "This is a terrible idea," he whispered. "The worst." I agreed, but I didn't let go of his shirt. "You should run from me, Sloane. As far and as fast as you can." "I know." His eyes opened, meeting mine. "I won't be able to let you go. If we do this, if we cross this line, you're mine. Completely. Do you understand what that means?" My heart was racing so hard I could feel it in my throat. "Tell me what it means." Victor's hand tightened in my hair. "It means I'll kill anyone who tries to take you from me. It means I'll burn down the world to keep you safe. It means you'll never be free of me, even if you want to be." His thumb traced my lower lip. "It means you belong to me, and I don't share." It should have sounded like a threat, like a prison sentence. Instead, it sounded like a promise, like forever wrapped in darkness. And what do I get? My voice was barely a whisper. Everything. My protection. My loyalty. Every part of me that's worth anything. His lips brushed mine. "And the knowledge that you're the only person in this world who owns me just as completely." The admission broke something open in my chest. This powerful, terrifying man, offering himself to me, admitting I had power over him too. Victor. I didn't know how to finish the sentence. He did it for me. Standing, he lifted me into his arms like I weighed nothing. I should have protested, should have demanded he put me down. Instead, I wrapped my arms around his neck as he carried me from the library, down the hall, up the stairs. Not to the guest room, to his. His bedroom was surprisingly simple. Large bed, dark sheets, floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the gardens. No clutter, no personal items except a book on the nightstand and a photo I couldn't quite see. Victor set me down beside the bed, his hands framing my face. "Last chance, Solnishko. Tell me to stop, and I will. I'll walk away. I'll never touch you again." I should have said stop. Should have chosen safety over this dangerous, impossible attraction. Instead, I pulled his mouth back to mine. What happened next left me breathless and changed everything between us. Victor worshipped me with an intensity that unmade me completely. Every touch was deliberate, controlled, like he was memorizing me. Every kiss felt like a brand, a claim, a promise. He whispered things in Russian I didn't understand but felt in my bones. Words that sounded like prayers and confessions and threats all at once. And when we finally came together, when he held me like I was the only solid thing in his world, I understood what he meant. This wasn't just physical. This was ownership. Possession. Two people claiming each other in the dark. Afterward, we lay tangled in sheets that smelled like him, cedar and smoke and something uniquely Victor. His fingers traced patterns on my bare shoulder, gentle touches from hands that had done terrible things. "Tell me something you've never told anyone," I said into the comfortable silence. Victor was quiet for so long I thought he might have fallen asleep. Then, so softly I almost didn't hear him, he said, "I'm lonely. All the time. I have power, money, respect. But I'm lonely in a way that nothing fills." The simple admission broke my heart a little. Even now. His arms tightened around me.
No.
"Not with you." I raised myself on one elbow to look at him. In the dim light from the windows, his face was softer, younger. The monster stripped away to show the man underneath. "Why me, Victor?" There must be dozens of women who would love to be with you. His hand came up to cup my cheek. Because none of them see me. They see the money, the power, the reputation. They see what I can give them or what I can do for them. His thumb brushed my lower lip. You see me.
The real me.
And you're not afraid to challenge me. To call me on my cruelty. To demand I be better. He pulled me down for a soft kiss. You make me want to be better. I don't think I'm that special. You're wrong. His voice was absolute. You're the most dangerous thing that's ever happened to me. Because I would destroy everything I've built for you. And that should terrify me. But instead, it just makes me want to keep you closer. We fell asleep like that, wrapped around each other, and for the first time in years, Victor told me later, he slept through the night without waking once. Morning came too soon. I woke to find Victor already dressed, standing by the window with his phone to his ear, speaking rapid Russian. When he noticed I was awake, something softened in his expression. He ended the call and came to sit on the edge of the bed. I have meetings today. Business I can't avoid. His hand brushed hair from my face. Dmitri will be outside if you need anything. Don't leave the grounds. Still a prisoner then. But I was smiling slightly. Still mine to protect. He kissed my forehead. There's a dark room in the West Wing. Fully equipped. I thought you might want to work. I sat up, clutching the sheet to my chest. You have a dark room? I had it built this week.
For you.
He said it like it was nothing. Like renovating part of his house for a woman he'd known less than a week was completely normal. Victor, that's too much. You don't have to. I want to. His hand cupped my face. Let me give you things, Sloane. Let me take care of you. It's the only way I know how to show. He trailed off, like the words wouldn't come. Show what? Instead of answering, he kissed me. Deep and thorough, and full of things neither of us was ready to say out loud. Then he was gone, leaving me in his bed, in his shirt that I'd pulled on, trying to understand what was happening to my carefully controlled life. The darkroom was perfect. Professional-grade equipment, every chemical and tool I could need, space to work and create. I spent the morning there, developing film from Prague, losing myself in the familiar ritual. It felt like meditation, like coming home to myself. I was hanging prints to dry when I heard shouting from downstairs. Men's voices angry. One of them Victor's. The other unfamiliar. I should have stayed in the darkroom. Should have minded my own business like he'd told me to. Instead, I crept to the top of the stairs, listening. You can't just keep her here indefinitely. The unfamiliar voice was sharp, aggressive. The families are asking questions, Victor. They think you've gone soft. I don't care what they think. Victor's voice was ice. She stays until the leak is found and eliminated. And if she is the leak? My blood turned cold. Watch yourself, Maxim. It's too convenient. A photographer who just happens to grab your case? Who just happens to have no connections, no one who'd miss her. It's the perfect setup. She could be playing you. She's not. Victor's certainty should have warmed me. Instead, I felt sick. Because Maxim had a point, didn't he? It was too convenient. How can you be sure? Because you're sleeping with her now. Maxim's voice stripped contempt. I remember when you dealt with threats instead of taking them to bed. The sound of impact made me flinch. Flesh hitting flesh.
Hard.
You'll apologize for that. Victor's voice was deadly quiet. Or I'll remove your tongue and feed it to you. I should have stayed hidden. Should have pretended I heard nothing. But I was already moving down the stairs before I could think better of it. Both men turned as I appeared. Maxim was holding his jaw, blood at the corner of his mouth. Victor's knuckles were split. They looked at me with very different expressions. Maxim with suspicion and calculation. Victor with something like resignation. She's listening. Maxim smiled, ugly and knowing. Still thinks she's innocent? Sloane. Victor's voice held a warning. Go back upstairs.
No.
I descended the rest of the stairs, chin up, refusing to cower. If you're going to discuss whether I'm a spy or a plant or whatever, I deserve to hear it. Maxim laughed. Spirit. I'll give her that. Enough. Victor moved between us, creating a physical barrier. Sloane, this doesn't concern you. It absolutely concerns me. He just accused me of working for your enemies. And you haven't denied it, Maxim pointed out. I turned to face him fully. Would you believe me if I did? You've already decided I'm guilty. Nothing I say will change that. Something flickered in Maxim's expression.
Surprise, maybe.
Or respect. She has a point, he said to Victor. I know. Victor was still watching me, his eyes unreadable. Maxim, leave us. Victor.
Now.
When we were alone, the silence felt suffocating. Victor stood with his back to me, shoulders tight, fists clenched at his sides. I could see the tension radiating off him in waves. You think I'm lying? I said it flatly, refusing to let the hurt show. You think I'm working for someone?
No.
He turned to face me, and the devastation in his eyes shocked me. I think you're exactly who you appear to be, and that terrifies me more than any betrayal. Why would that terrify you? He crossed to me in 3 strides, his hands framing my face with desperate intensity. Because I'm falling in love with you. Because you've become the most important thing in my world in less than a week. Because I would choose you over my empire, my reputation, everything I've built. His forehead pressed against mine. And I've killed men for admitting less dangerous things than that. The confession stole my breath. Victor, I know it's insane. I know it's too fast, too intense, too everything. But I've never felt like this. Never wanted someone the way I want you. Never needed someone the way I need you. His hands were shaking. Victor Constantine, who I'd seen face down dangerous men without blinking, was shaking. You've ruined me, Solnishko. Completely. Tears burned my eyes. You think I'm not just as ruined? You think this is easy for me? You kidnapped me. You're a criminal. Everything logical in my brain says run. But my heart... I grabbed his shirt, holding on. My heart says you're exactly where I'm supposed to be. Then stay. It was barely a whisper. Stay with me.
Choose this.
Choose me. You're not giving me much choice. A ghost of a smile touched his lips. I'm giving you all the choice, Sloane.
I'm asking.
Not demanding. Not forcing. Asking. Stay with me. Not because you're afraid of what's out there, but because you want to be here. With me. I looked at him. Really looked at him. At the vulnerability he was showing me. The honesty. The fear that I might say no. I choose you, I whispered. God help me. I choose the monster. His kiss was desperate, grateful, possessive. Thank you, he breathed against my mouth. Thank you. If this story has you feeling things you weren't prepared for, if Victor and Sloane have completely wrecked you in the best way, drop a like right now. Show me I'm not alone in loving this beautiful disaster. And comment where in the world you're watching from. Are you Team Victor? Team Sloane? Or team them against the world? Let me know. The next week passed in a haze of dangerous domesticity. Victor still worked, still ran his empire from his office, still made decisions that probably involved things I didn't want to know about. But every evening, he was mine. We'd have dinner together, talking about everything and nothing. He'd ask about my photography, genuinely interested in my work. I'd ask about his past, and he'd answer with an honesty that surprised us both. He was teaching me Russian. Just phrases, nothing serious, but I loved watching his face when I'd attempt to pronounce words and fail miserably. He'd laugh, a real laugh, and correct me with patience I didn't know he possessed. I was teaching him to see the way I saw. We'd walk the gardens, and I'd point out the beauty in things he'd never noticed. The way light fell through leaves, the texture of old stone, the poetry in decay and growth happening simultaneously. You make the world more beautiful, he told me one evening as we watched the sunset from the terrace. Everything looks different through your eyes. I'm not doing anything special, just paying attention. His arm tightened around my waist. That's what makes it special. You notice things. You care about details. You find meaning in moments most people miss. He turned me to face him. Like you found something worth caring about in me. That wasn't hard. You're not as monstrous as you think you are. I'm exactly that monstrous. You just see past it to what I used to be. What I could be. He kissed my forehead. You make me want to be better, Solnishko. You are better. You just don't see it yet. Lisa called on day 9. I'd been texting her periodically, vague messages about being out of town for work, but she was getting suspicious. Where are you really? She demanded. And don't give me that work trip nonsense. You're being weird. I looked at Victor, who was working at his desk, watching me with those intense eyes. I'm safe. I promise. I'll explain everything when I can. Sloane, if you're in trouble, I'm not. Or I am, but not the way you think. How could I explain this? I met someone. Silence. Then, you met someone. You, who hasn't dated in 3 years, just randomly met someone and disappeared. It's complicated. Complicated doesn't usually involve dropping off the face of the earth. Lisa's voice softened. Are you happy?
Was I?
I looked at Victor again, at the way he smiled slightly when our eyes met, at the safety I felt here despite the danger, at the way my heart sped up every time he walked into a room. Yeah, I said quietly. I think I am. Then I'm happy for you. But I'm also going to murder you when you get back for not telling me details. After I hung up, Victor held out his hand. I went to him, letting him pull me into his lap. Your friend cares about you.
She's all I have.
Or she was. I traced the line of his jaw. Now I have you too. You have me. He said it like a vow. For as long as you want me. What if I want you forever? Something vulnerable flashed in his eyes. Then forever is what you'll get. The betrayal came on day 12. I woke to raised voices, urgent and sharp. Victor was already gone from bed. I pulled on his shirt and went to the window. Dawn was just breaking, painting the sky in shades of pink and gold. And in the garden below, I saw them. Dmitri and 2 other men surrounding something on the ground.
Someone.
Even from this distance, I could see the blood. Victor appeared, moving through the garden with lethal purpose. He knelt beside the body, and even though I couldn't see his face, I saw the way his shoulders tensed, the way his hand clenched into a fist. Something terrible had happened. I found him 20 minutes later in his office, sitting at his desk, staring at nothing. His knuckles were bloody, his shirt had spots of red on it. He looked devastated in a way I'd never seen. Victor? I approached carefully. What happened?
He didn't look at me.
Alexei. He's dead. Alexei, the man who'd been with him at the airport. The older one with the scar.
How?
Bullet to the head. Execution style. His voice was hollow. Dmitri found evidence on his phone.
He was the leak.
He'd been selling information to the Volkov family for months. The betrayal of it hit me even secondhand. I'm so sorry. I trusted him. Victor's hand slammed down on the desk, making me jump. 7 years he worked for me. I paid for his daughter's schooling, her medical treatments. I treated him like family. Finally, he looked at me, and the devastation in his eyes broke my heart. How did I miss it? I went to him, kneeling beside his chair, taking his bloody hands in mine. Because you're human. Even you. I can't afford to be human. He pulled his hands away. People die when I'm human. When I trust. When I care. People die anyway, Victor. At least this way, you get to feel something. He stared at me for a long moment. Then, suddenly, he pulled me up and into his arms, burying his face in my hair. I felt the shudder go through him. Not tears. Victor Constantine didn't cry, but something just as broken. I should let you go, he whispered against my neck. Before my world destroys you too. Too late. I held him tighter. I'm already here. Already yours. You don't get to protect me by pushing me away. You don't know what you're choosing. I pulled back to look at him, to make him see me. I know exactly what I'm choosing. I'm choosing the man who brings me dinner when I'm being stubborn, who built me a darkroom because he knew I needed to create, who looks at me like I'm the only beautiful thing in his ugly world. My hands framed his face. I choose you, Victor. Monster and all. In this world of blood and danger and terrible choices, I choose you. The kiss was desperate, consuming. He stood, lifting me onto the desk, stepping between my thighs, hands everywhere at once like he couldn't get close enough. When we came together there, urgent and raw and real, it felt like an exorcism. His demons and mine, burning away in the heat between us. Afterward, still tangled together, Victor pressed his forehead to mine. I love you. No hesitation. No guard. Just truth, raw and honest. God help me. I love you, Sloane. I love you too. The words felt like falling and flying at the same time. We're both probably insane. Undoubtedly. He helped me down from the desk, smoothing my hair with gentle hands. But you're mine now. Truly. And I protect what's mine. Even from yourself? His smile was sharp, dangerous, beautiful. Especially for myself. The next 2 weeks were tense. Victor worked around the clock to secure his organization, to root out any other potential leaks, to shore up defenses against the Volkov family who apparently saw Alexei's death as an opportunity to push for territory. I saw less of him during the day, but every night, he came to bed and held me like I was the only solid thing in his world. We didn't talk much during those nights. We didn't need to. Just being together, skin to skin, heart to heart, was enough. Maxim, surprisingly, became an ally. He'd been wrong about me. He admitted one afternoon when I found him in the library. You're good for him. He's more focused than I've seen him in years. Sharper. He fights smarter when he has something to fight for. I don't want him fighting at all. Maxim's smile was wry. Then you fell for the wrong man. Victor doesn't know how to exist without fighting. It's what he was forged in.
He studied me.
But maybe you can give him something to fight for besides survival. Maybe that's enough. On day 26 of my captivity that had stopped being captivity, Victor came to find me in the darkroom where I was developing new work. He looked exhausted but satisfied. It's done, he said simply. I turned from the prince I was hanging. What's done? The Volkov family. Their leadership had an unfortunate accident this morning. Car bomb. No survivors. He said it matter-of-factly, like discussing the weather. The threat is eliminated. I should have been horrified. Should have demanded details, raged against the violence. But I'd stopped pretending I didn't understand Victor's world. Stopped lying to myself about what he was. So I can go home. It wasn't a question. Something flickered in his eyes. Fear, maybe.
Yes.
You're free to leave. The danger has passed. You're no longer a target. He stepped closer. But I'm hoping you won't. Won't what? Leave. His hands found my waist, pulling me close. I know I said you could go home when this was over. I gave you my word. And I'll keep it if that's what you want. But I'm asking, begging if I have to, for you to stay. Not as my prisoner. Not as someone under my protection. But as my partner. My equal. The woman I love. My heart was racing. Victor. I had your apartment packed up. Everything moved to storage. He rushed on before I could respond to that. Not because I assumed, but because I hoped. I built you a studio. Real studio space in the East Wing with northern light and everything you said you needed. I had Dmitri Research Gallery connections. I want to support your work, your career, your life. Not control it. Support it. You packed at my apartment without asking? He had the grace to look guilty. I was optimistic. And presumptuous.
Yes.
That too. His forehead pressed against mine. Stay with me, Sloane. Not in a cage, but in a life we build together. Keep your independence. Keep your work. Come and go as you please. Just come home to me at the end of the day. What if I want to keep my apartment? My own space. I saw the flash of possessiveness in his eyes before he controlled it. Then you keep it. I'll assign you security, and I'll hate every minute you're not here, but I'll deal with it because you need me to. You'd really let me go?
No.
His honesty was brutal. I'd fight like hell to change your mind. I'd use every weapon I have, including this. He kissed me, deep and thorough, and full of dark promises. But ultimately, yes. If you truly wanted to leave, I'd let you go. Because I love you. And love means respecting your choices, even when they destroy me. I pulled back to look at him. Really look at him. This powerful, dangerous man offering me everything. Willing to let me go even though it would kill him. Trusting me with his heart even though trust had nearly destroyed him. I want to keep my name, I said. Hope flickered in his eyes. Okay. I want to work. To have clients and projects and a career that's mine. Absolutely. I want to go out with Lisa. Have friends. Have a life outside these walls.
Done.
Dimitri will drive you. And there'll be security, but discreet. I want you to stop trying to control everything.
He winced.
I can try. It won't be perfect, but I'll try. And I want you to tell me when you're going out of town for business. No more disappearing without warning. I promise. I pretended to consider. Those are my terms. And in exchange, his hands tightened on my waist. What do I get?
Me.
All of me. Every stubborn, difficult part. Coming home to you every night. Choosing you every day. Loving you despite the danger and the darkness and the absolute insanity of this. I kissed him softly. You get me, Victor. If you still want me. His smile was blinding. If I want you? Solnishko, I've wanted you since the moment I saw your face on security footage. I wanted you when I walked into your apartment. I wanted you every second since. I will want you until I stop breathing. That's very dramatic. I'm Russian. We're dramatic. He kissed me again. Is that a yes? You'll stay? On one condition. Anything. I pulled a small box from my pocket. Inside was a ring. Not expensive. I'd had Dimitri help me get it, but meaningful. Simple black band with a small diamond. Marry me? I said. Victor's eyes went wide. What? You heard me. If I'm staying, if I'm choosing T's life with you, then I want all of it. Not girlfriend. Not partner.
Wife.
Marry me, Victor Constantine. Make it official that I'm just as crazy as you are. For a moment, he just stared at me. Then he laughed, a free, joyous sound I'd never heard from him. You're proposing to me? Someone had to. You were taking too long. He pulled me into his arms, lifting me off my feet, spinning me around the darkroom.
Yes.
Yes. 1,000 times yes. He set me down, framing my face with his hands. I was going to ask you. I have a ring. I was planning the perfect moment. This is the perfect moment.
Right now.
In a darkroom. Covered in developer. You just told me you killed your enemies. It's very us. His laugh rumbled through his chest. It really is. He took the ring from the box, sliding it onto his finger. It fit perfectly. I love you, Sloane Hartley. My light. My redemption. My little sun in the darkness. I love you too. My monster. My protector. My home. The kiss tasted like forever. Like dangerous promises and impossible choices and love that existed not in spite of the darkness, but because of it. 3 months later, I stood in a Savannah gallery next to Victor, watching people admire my work. The exhibition had been a success beyond my wildest dreams. Critics loved my Eastern European series. Collectors were buying pieces. I had commissions lined up for months. But the centerpiece was something else entirely. A photograph I'd taken of Victor one morning when he didn't know I was watching. He was in his office, had bowed over paperwork, early light streaming through the windows, his face unguarded and peaceful. I'd titled it Monster at Rest. He pretended to hate it, had threatened to buy it just so no one else could have it. Then he'd actually bought it for an obscene amount of money and hung it in his office where only he could see it. Now, he stood beside me in a perfectly tailored suit, his hand at the small of my back, possessive and warm. People stared. They always did. The whispers had started immediately. the photographer and the alleged crime boss, the beauty and the beast, the innocent and the monster. Let them talk. I'd stopped caring what anyone thought. You're making people nervous, I whispered as another couple hurried past us, clearly intimidated by his presence and the security team stationed around the gallery.
Good.
His hand tightened on my back. Let them know you're protected. Let them know you're mine. So possessive. Completely. He leaned down to murmur in my ear. And you love it. I couldn't deny it. Maybe a little. Liar. His lips brushed my temple. You love that I'd burn this gallery down if anyone disrespected you. You love that I have men stationed at every exit. You love that I'm standing here claiming you in front of everyone. You're very sure of yourself. I'm sure of us. He turned me to face him, uncaring that people were watching. I'm sure that grabbing the wrong suitcase was the best mistake you ever made. I'm sure that you're the only good thing in my dark world. And I'm sure that I'll love you until my last breath and beyond. God, this man. That's very romantic for a monster. You bring out my romantic side. His thumb traced my cheekbone, along with my possessive, obsessive, completely unreasonable side. I've noticed. Later that night, back at the estate that had become our home, we stood on the balcony off our bedroom, the one I'd once thought was in a guest room but was really always meant to be ours. The city lights twinkled in the distance. Somewhere out there, Victor's empire continued running. Dangerous deals were made. Territory was defended. His dark world kept turning. But here, in this moment, wrapped in his arms under the stars, we were just two people who'd found something rare. Happy? Victor asked, his chin resting on top of my head. Terrifyingly so. I leaned back against his chest. I keep waiting for the other shoe to drop. It won't. I won't let it. His arms tightened around me. You're mine, Sloane. Mine to protect. Mine to love. Mine to keep safe from everything, including my own world when necessary. I'm not a possession.
No.
You're something far more dangerous. You're my heart, my conscience, my humanity. He turned me in his arms. You're the reason I fight. The reason I build. The reason I try to be better than the monster everyone knows. You are better. You just don't see it. I see it when I look at you. When you look at me like I'm worthy of love instead of fear. He kissed me softly, like you're doing right now. Because you are worthy of love, of happiness, of all of it. Then I'm the luckiest monster alive. We stood there as the night deepened, two people who should never have worked but somehow did. Two people from completely different worlds who'd found each other through pure chance and chose to stay through pure will. Victor? I said into the comfortable silence. Yes, Solnishko? I'm glad I grabbed the wrong suitcase. His laugh was warm against my hair. So am I. Best case of mistaken luggage in history. We should send a thank you card to the airport. I'll have Dmitri handle it. He was smiling. I could hear it in his voice. Though I'm not sure what the message should be. Thank you for the chaos that led to love. Thank you for the mistake that saved us both. That's perfect. He kissed the top of my head. Because you did save me, Sloane. From a life that had everything except meaning. From an existence without light. From being only a monster instead of a man who loves a woman more than his own life. Tears burned my eyes. You saved me too. From playing it safe. From being invisible. From a life half-lived because I was too afraid to risk my heart. We saved each other then. We did. And somewhere in the night, in a city built on secrets and danger and second chances, a photographer who'd expected nothing but a simple trip home learned that the best love stories don't start with meet cuties and perfect moments. They start with wrong suitcases and dangerous men and choices that seem insane until they become inevitable. They start with fear that transforms into trust, with darkness that reveals light, with monsters who turn out to be men who love so fiercely it rewrites every rule. If this story has completely destroyed you in the best possible way, If Victor and Sloane's love has you believing in impossible things, I need you to do something for me right now. Hit that like button if you believe some mistakes are actually destiny. Subscribe to Rosalie's Dark Romance for more stories where love doesn't play it safe, where the villain gets the girl, and where happy endings exist even in the darkness. And comment below, I'm with you, Rosalie, if you stayed until the very end.
Tell me you're part of this family.
Tell me where in the world you're watching from. Tell me you believe in love that burns. Because that's what we do here. We tell stories about dangerous men and the women brave enough to love them. About passion that defies logic. About hearts that choose each other against all odds. This is Rosalie, signing off from the dark side of romance. Remember, the best love stories don't play it safe. They burn. And sometimes, the wrong choice is exactly the right one. Until next time, stay dangerous. Stay in love. And never be afraid to grab the wrong suitcase. You never know what monster might be waiting to claim you. And you never know when that monster might turn out to be exactly what you needed all along.